everyone, welcome to the MOOCs again on media and human rights. So let's have a recap of media and human rights, where we discussed the evolution of human rights debate, theoretical discourse on human rights to understand natural rights and collective rights, the three generations of human rights, that is civil and political rights, economic and socio-cultural rights, collective rights for universal peace and sustainable development, legal framework of human rights as constituted in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and Indian Constitution, the relationship between media, society and humanry, the process of media representation of various social identities and role of participatory media in achieving human rights. So, since the human rights theories also emphasized upon the need to see responsibilities, duties as a part of rights, the role of individuals become important in achievement and protection of human rights. So, here we can understand why and how individual can be a part of the total human rights movements in the world. So, being a smallest unit when it comes to the society, it is the utmost responsibility of individual, every individual, to work in order to achieve human rights. So, if every individual is involved, we will reach the total atmosphere of human rights sustainability. So, that is how human rights can be achieved by individual, and one individual, or we can say every individual has a role to play when it comes to the attainment of human rights. So, practicing human rights and duties to promote a positive attitudinal change in human behavior and society is the need or is the expectation by individual to towards human rights. So, if we look at the history again, we have seen that how individuals have created, or they became the torch bearers for human rights movement throughout the history. So, remember the name of Hammurabi of Babylon and the King Cyrus II, or the Martin Luther in Germany, who actually led the religious movement, and then the complete period of Renaissance and Enlightenment goes around with the name of Martin Luther. So, that is how we see that those were the individual contribution to the total movement of human rights. So, again from history we have names such as William Lloyd Garrison, and we always remember his newspaper, The Liberator for that matter, where we see that how and it is an inspiration for today's media too, that how one individual, one reporter, one editor, one journalist can play a role when it comes to the protection of human rights of all. Then Abraham Lincoln, we know that how racial discrimination was abolished, or you can say the people were protected against racial discrimination in America. Then Kate Shepard, who led the complete women rights movement in the history. So, we have those individuals when it comes to the role of individuals in the history of human rights. So, in India, as we have discussed earlier too, we have a lot of examples, a lot of role models, and if we take even a single value from each, we will be a complete you can say reservoir of human rights, ethics and values. We had Mauryan Empire, Emperor Ashoka in history. So, Buddhist values of non-violence and peace were spread all over the world by Ashoka. Everyone and if you look at the Asian values, Asian cultural values, Ashoka would be the very first name which is known to everyone. Then Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, who led the war without violence. So, here we see how responsibility can be fulfilled to achieve human rights, even if you are protecting for human rights of your own. So, non-violence was one eminent feature of the freedom struggle in Indian history. We know that, and Gandhi again fought against every kind of discrimination, be it class discrimination, be it caste discrimination. And when it comes to the caste discrimination, again we have one eminent personality, one leader in the name of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who fought against caste discrimination throughout his life. So, we have those individuals as role models, as icons, who led the movements, who led the fight against any kind of human rights violation in history. So, moving further, we have philosophy of natural rights that shaped the modern liberal concept of human rights. However, the scholars attached the notion of duties to the enjoyment of rights, and thus role of individuals become crucial here again. So, duties and responsibilities attached with enjoyment of rights. If you have rights, you also have duties towards other individuals' rights. So, rights are a mode of regulating our behavior, as David Buersema said. So, those are not only for enjoyment, those are not only to make you detach from the society. Rights are there to make the society cohesive, you can say. When we look at the individual rights theories, we had liberal economists and philosophers John Stuart Mill, Adam Smith and David Ricardo, who asked for individual rights, remember. But when we say individual rights, now come to the society rights theories. Here we have David Hume, who stated that human rights as a social product, and Thomas Hobbes, where we see the concept of legitimate authority, and where we see a kind of cooperation between state and society rather than having a struggle for power. So, John Rawls again talks about social contract theory, and Rousseau, where he talks about general will of power. So, when we look at those theories, those are called society based theories, because individual becomes a part of the whole cosmos there. So, those theories are based on that. So, if we look at these the complete history, we have again 3 generations of citizenship and human rights movements, which are described by eminent sociologist T.H. Marshall and later jurist Karel Vazak as in the history of human rights. It can be summarized as emergence of civil and political rights. Those are individual liberties, the development of social and economic rights, that is social welfare, the collective solidarity rights, those are sustainable development, peace and fraternity at global level. So, right from individual liberties to the sustainable development, peace, fraternity and global level, if you observe minutely, you will find that all rights talk about the duties, whether you talk about individual duties, whether you talk about a social responsibility in terms of social welfare, because when you come to the concept of social welfare, you look for, you care for every person or other classes in the society too. Then sustainable development, if I save water, it will be available to all. So, that is the idea of sustainable development. So, I have my right on water, but everyone has that right too. So, I need to save water in simple terms. So, these theories talk about non-interference based negative rights and action based positive rights. So, I do not, so as Herbert Spencer said, every man has freedom to do all that he wills, provided he infringes not on the equal freedom of every other man. If we recall what Henry Shue has said about positive rights, here social guarantees against actual and threatened deprivations of at least some basic needs are meant to be the positive rights. So, here we actually guarantee for the upliftment of the marginalized, the mainstreaming of the marginalized through action. So, if I have one right to enjoy my property, I also have some responsibility towards the state, which actually go for furthering those affirmative actions by protecting the rights of the marginalized classes, for example. So, here we can be directly involved in those positive rights, or state is there to protect the rights of the marginalized class, and we can be the agent of doing that. So, here about duties and rights, Mazzini has also talked about duties of man, where one individual's right involves another individual's duty and vice versa. That is the same thing which we are actually discussing throughout the lecture. So, if we understand that point, I think we can attain and protect human rights in a wider spectrum. So, here the concept of conventional dichotomies in relation to the theories based on universal individualism offered by Jen Surveys and Chris Verschutten becomes important. That shows the struggle between tradition and modernity, universality and relativism, individualism and collectivism. We have discussed this portion in our earlier lecture too, but here we will try to understand these dichotomies in terms of individual responsibility. So, take the first as tradition and modernity. So, yes, we have a right to develop, we have a right for going for welfare in a modernistic approach, but we also have a responsibility to look for the reasons given in our tradition, given in our culture, and to promote those reasons, the scientific reasons which are very much a part of the tradition. So, by doing that, we can actually achieve a cohesion or a cohesive state between tradition and modernity, and we can sustain with our culture. Then if we come at universality and relativism, again we need to have a cultural understanding, a contextual understanding when we see the notion of us and them. Those can be us and we can be them. So, but we need to put our foot in their shoe. So, for that we need to understand the contextual reality. So, it is not about only the human rights, the universally stated human rights, but culturally defined human rights too, which we have to understand. Like we have Asian values of unity, we have the Asian value of harmony, which is imbibed in cultural practices. So, here we can have one example of Western societies where sometimes you read that a boy did not get entry into some professional institutions because he was wearing a turban. So, here comes relativism to play the role. So, as an individual we have to understand their right to religious practices too, their right to cultural practices too. So, that is how we can go for widening the sphere of human rights if we understand, if we have that capability to understand contextual realities. Then individualism as a part of collectivism and not individualism separated by collectivism that has to be understood. So, if we are a part of community and yes, here one thing is important, you have to make a selection, make a choice between right and wrong. So, if the collectivism provides you something which is very much cohesive, very much that goes with human rights, then you should be a part of collectivism. And if it goes against the values of human rights, then you have that liberty to choose your path, and not only choose your path, but also to lead a movement, or you can say fight against those wrongdoings, as we have seen in the history in the previous part of this lecture. So, that is how one individual can play a role. Then if we look at the human rights discourse, the solution here remains the individual's understanding of different social contexts and her respect towards diversity. So, we have to understand that there is a lot of diversity in the world, and if we really want to protect human rights, we have to protect that diversity too. So, the legal framework of human rights, when we see the duties, it is based on the principles of freedom, justice and peace. Here again, we look at the UN Charter of Universal Declaration of Human Rights, provisions for a range of individual negative rights to individual duties, where the role of individuals in attainment and protection of human rights is sought. So, if we look at the UN Charter, there are some rights which are explicitly talk about: right against slavery and cruelty, that is negative right; right to privacy, again a negative right; right to honor, again a negative right; right to marry is again a negative right. So, these are a set of negative rights where you are asked not to infringe the human rights of others. So, for example, if we look at the instances of honor killing, you can easily relate it with the right to marry and have a family. So, likewise and like forth. So, Article 29th of the UN Charter of Universal Declaration of Human Rights states the duties of individuals to keep environment suitable for enjoyment of human rights by all in society. And here, fortunately, you have to do nothing but just to give some respect to other person's human rights. So, in our constitution we have fundamental rights, and here in Article 19 clause 1 clause A and Article 19 clause 2, we can understand it beautifully. These articles are actually beautifully explanation of human rights in terms of duties of individuals and rights of individuals when it comes to the enjoyment of right. So, Article 19 clause 1 clause A gives the right to freedom of speech and expression. So, you are free to speak. If you have a particular ideology, you are free to speak. If you want to talk about religion, you are free to speak. But you also have a set of reasonable restrictions when it comes to the freedom of speech and expression in terms of Article 19 clause 2, and those restrictions are very much meant for almost every fundamental right. So, reasonable restrictions are based on the concept of negative rights, that by your enjoyment of right, it does not mean to violate other person's human right. So, here you can understand what we mean to say when we say duties and responsibilities of individuals in enjoyment of human rights. In part 4A, Article 15A of the Constitution are given fundamental duties of the citizens. to promote the spirit of nationalism and to uphold the unity of India and that of individuals. So, part 4a is obligatory in nature and are not enforceable by law. The National Human Rights Commission also we have. It was constituted by the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993 enacted by the Parliament, where we had 2 amendments so far in 2000 and 2006. The Act also provisions to constitute the State Human Rights Commission in various states and human rights courts for protection of human rights of every individual in the country. Now, what is the role of individual here? So, media literate individuals can easily understand the media processes in relation to the socio-cultural political movements. Here we are talking about media society and the relationship of individual when it comes to the human rights, the protection of human rights by individual and his or her relationship with media and society. So, he or she has to be media literate, because if you are media literate, only then you will be able to understand that whether the content is protecting human rights or it is whether it is violating human rights of one class, caste, gender or any other social identity for that matter. So, by developing a sense in relation to the framing and priming processes, individuals can identify the single narrative based content, and those single narrative based content are really harmful because they divide the society in terms of us and them. You might have heard the phrase that is hate speech when it comes to the sensitive content of media, and propaganda of any kind can be easily understood, and you should not be a trap of such propaganda. That is why media literacy in terms of media processes and understanding the perspective or angle of the content is necessary. So, here framing is actually one single perspective when you see in any content. We talk about contextual realities. Realities can be molded in one perspective, one angle. If you are a media student, you might have heard this term again and again, angle in news. So, the content, whether it is film, whether it is news, whether it is documentary, those are made with, most of the time made with a single perspective, that is called framing. So, Marcel Denisy has actually developed textual devices to understand those frames. So, you will find strategic repetitions of certain words, the use of compact phrases set in eye-catching patterns, vertically, horizontally, diagonally, then the use of contrasting font styles and formats along with supporting illustrations, because those actually are visual elements and psychological elements which provide you entry into the content, and then you move with the content. So, the creation of slogans and neologisms designed to highlight certain aspect of the content. So, another aspect, another process is priming, where the news is provided with a meaning also through placing or ordering the stories. We all know that the most important news or information is given the first place, and the least is given the bottom of the newspaper or bulletin. So, sometimes you tend to leave the third or the fourth story because you think it as least important, because it is given in such a manner to you. Okay, but this may be a part of some intentions. So, you have to be careful about that too. So, when the stories are primed, they imply different meanings being at different positions. So, important, not important, very important, least important. So, those are the place and the meanings attached with the place you get. Now we have seen representations of social identities, where we see various social identities and notion of us and them is created in the media or reflected in the media in terms of caste representation, class representation, gender, ethnicity, minority or any other class division for that matter. Here we find the participatory media and the role of individuals to achieve human rights as important. Participatory media is useful in sensitized communities towards human rights. We know that how community based media works in terms of contextual realities, in terms of contextual understanding of situations and places vis-a-vis mainstream media, where we see representation in terms of one narrative given to one class or caste and so on and so forth. So, participatory media includes all forms of media ranging from newspapers, community videos, community radio and online portals. So, we have certain examples here. So, newspapers, community radios, we have these two videos which are example of participatory media, where small kids in Chhattisgarh make videos and they circulate it online. So, we are going to watch those videos here.
मैं संगवारी खबरिया ले अंजलि नाग। सरकार कर अनुसार छत्तीसगढ़ राज्य में सन 2011 में 1,70,000 लइका स्कूल ले बहिरी रही, जेमा लड़की मन के संख्या बगरा रहीस। ये कहानी हवे मैनपाट ब्लॉक परिमा गाँव कर, जहाँ लड़की मन पढ़ाई छोड़ दीन है और घर कर काम ला करथे और मजदूरी करे ले शहर भी जाथे। तो अवा मिलबो आरती और सरिता ले, जेमन 8वीं के बाद पढ़ाई छोड़ देन है। काहे छोड़ दी?
घर में परेशानी था इसलिए छोड़ दी।
क्या परेशानी था?
घर में कोई नहीं था, पापा भी नहीं है, मम्मी थी, भाई लोग छोटे छोटे थे, घर में कोई काम करने वाला था नहीं, संभालने वाला, इसीलिए छोड़ दी। महीना में मम्मी फीस उस भी जमा करने के लिए नहीं था पैसा घर में, और महीना में इतना बहुत दिक्कत होता था घर में, इसीलिए। नहीं तो पढ़ने का मन तो हर किसी का होता है, मेरा भी बहुत मन था।
सहेली नहीं थी इसलिए अकेली हो रही थी, फिर नहीं गई स्कूल।
वो स्कूल में तो मिलते थे ना?
स्कूल पे मिलते थे पर रास्ते नहीं मिल रहे थे, अब बहुत दूर भी हो रहा था, इसलिए नहीं गई।
लड़की मन के स्कूल छोड़े के कई कारण होथे, जेकस की स्कूल जाए ले पैसा नहीं मिले। स्कूल घर ले 3 किलोमीटर दूरिया है। घर और लइका के जिम्मेदारी लड़की ही उठाथे, तेकर ले आधा पढ़ाई नहीं कर पाथे। आप पढ़ती थी?
जी।
कितना तक पढ़ाई की?
10वीं।
फिर क्यों छोड़ दी?
क्या करूँगी, तो शादी कर दी तो नहीं पढ़ पाई।
भारत संविधान 6 से 14 वर्ष कर लड़का लड़की मन के शिक्षा कर अधिकार प्रदान करथे, तब ले भी हमर मैनपाट कर हजारों लड़की मन शिक्षा से दूर हमें। पढ़ाई करे ले लड़की मन के सशक्तिकरण होथे और देश कर विकास होथे। ये बात ला मैनपाट गाँव वाला मन समझी, ये ला तो वक्त ही बताई।
Now we are concluding with what we have just learned. We will try to recapitulate it. the individuals are the important actors to attain, protect and strengthen on environment of human rights in society. The role of individuals finds a mention in the total human rights discourse. Although the Indian Constitution makes it obligatory in nature, yet it is always desired by individuals to respect the human rights of each other. So, individuals should learn to respect the universal human rights through learning and imbibing the humanitarian values found in Indian culture too, such as non-violence, truth, harmony and compassion. Individuals, through learning the skills of identification of the content, can easily avoid to be the trap of hate speech and or propagandist content. Individuals have more proactive role in spreading awareness about the human rights of all and highlighting the gaps through the use of various media tools and participatory media. So, here we will have a recap. We have discussed the idea of human rights and why the role of individual is important. We also observed the role played by individual scholars and philosophers throughout the course of history in disseminating the idea of human rights. We strive to understand and identify various media processes in relation to socio-politico-cultural structures. We also discuss the ways through which individuals can be the active agents for bringing, protecting and sustaining human rights in society. So, thank you for being with me.